fun. Looking forward to the weekend. Yesterday was Thursday. Woo! Today it's Friday.
True.
We so excited.
Yeah.
So excited. We gonna have a ball today. Tomorrow is Saturday. And
Oh,
Sunday
word.
comes afterwards.
Oh, snap.
R&B, Rebecca Black.
Damn.
So chillin' in the front side, in the backseat. I'm driving, cruising, fast lane, switching lanes with a car by my side.
Luda.
Passing by, it's a school bus in front of me. Makes tick-tock on the street. My time is Friday, it's a weekend. We gonna have fun. Come on, y'all.
Friday, gotta get down.
Yes. Folks, take it from Rebecca Black herself. It is Friday, gotta get down on Friday. What a tune that was. What year was that? I mean, it's like, I want to say 2011. I remember when that song came out, it was all over Reddit, and everybody was like, this might be the worst song in the history of music. And oh, did we not know just what we were in store for the next decade. I mean, if you ask me, before I tell you who I am, because I'd hate for you to know who you're listening to, but if you ask me, anonymous unknown man that is for some reason on your YouTube screen, Rebecca Black, the girl who sings this song, is a model in how to deal with public ridicule. Everyone started as making fun of her because I think that this was just like a music video that she did when she was like 14 or 15 years old that her parents like paid for her to do. And she had written this song called Friday with such amazing lyrics as yesterday was Thursday, today is Friday. That's today. But tomorrow, and I don't know if you know this, but tomorrow is Saturday. But wait, there's more. Sunday comes afterwards. Now, she doesn't really get into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday too much in this song, which is unfortunate, because it would be nice to have laid that out in where they fall in the chronological order of the week. But that's not what's important, because Rebecca Black understood a key concept of the weekend, which is the weekend is fun. And fun only happens Thursday through Sunday. So who gives a hell? Who gives a hell? Is that censorship? I just censor myself from saying who gives a fuck? And now I made myself sound worse. My dad's always like, Jim, you gotta stop saying fuck all the thing. It's gonna turn people away. Well, guess what, Dad? I think me just saying who gives a hell just turned many people the wrong way. But anyway, it is Friday. But yeah, everybody started out making fun of her. It was like this meme of a song. And then it became like Rebecca Black was cool. She would be like in movies, kind of, as like a cameo. Or like she was in the Katy Perry's TGIF, Thank God It's Friday, for those of you who aren't big acronym fans. She was in that music video, and she became cool. And now that I'm thinking about it, we have a modern day comparison to Rebecca Black. And that person's name is Davis Clark, the locked in guy. Today, I'm going to wake up and totally hammer out some spreadsheets. Bad day to not be locked in. And he started out as this kind of like meme guy. Like, who is this guy? He's like a caricature of a person. And then we realized, no, wait. This is what locked in looks like. It doesn't look like you. It doesn't even look like me, although very similar, as you can tell. It looks like Davis Clark. He is cool. I've been saying that. I was almost brought to tears 2 weeks ago discussing his positive message and how he has inspired people like me who are also embarrassing ourselves to the point of self-memery on a daily basis on this daily show to continue doing what we are doing, because that is the definition of locked in. Folks, my name is Jimmy Selesky. You are watching live from the studio, the daily edition. Now, this week has kind of been an abbreviated week. I was moving all earlier, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the days that Rebecca Black does not care to mention, and therefore neither shall I. But Thursday, that's yesterday, I came at you with a live episode. We got into a little bit. We talked about the Final Four. We talked about Romeo and Juliet, the casting of that play. But today, I think it's time to kind of just go over the rest of the stuff that happened this week, right? I think so. We normally do this on Twitter Tuesday. We just go through and just kind of discuss random videos that are popping off, that are viral, whatever. But we're going to do that today. Okay? Now, there's a couple key things I want to talk about, just viral things in the culture. We spoke about that chick, Shanin Blake, who's like that hippie chick pop star that's really kind of blown up like this week. And so we'll definitely get into that. We didn't manage to get into that yesterday because I spent so much time talking about whatever the hell I was talking about yesterday. You'll just have to watch and decide for yourself if I made any sense at all. So we will get into Shanin Blake today. I think that's a very culturally relevant thing this week. I also kind of want to tap into this Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight coming up in July. So it's still kind of a ways off, but that is something I have yet to delve into, and I feel like I am robbing the world of my take. I hate when I do that. I hate when something happens and you guys don't get to hear my opinion about it. It's a travesty. So we'll do that today. And among other things, we'll just kind of look around and see what the Twitterverse is thinking. What are you thinking, Twitter? X. But let's start with the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight. I think that's a good place. I was inspired to discuss this based off of this here video from a clip from the Joe Rogan Experience. Ever heard of Joe Rogan? He has a podcast, and it's called the Joe Rogan Experience. And he talks a lot like this, man. It's very bizarre, but I really enjoy listening to his podcast. It's crazy, man. This clip is crazy, man. This is, I don't even know who this other guy is. Another bald guy. So this is two bald guys laying down the law about the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight.
If he's physically capable of recapturing 70% of what he used to do, just dealing with that with probably 90% of the power. 70% of the physical ability and 90% of the power, because the power's not gone. You see it when he hits a bag.
Yeah, he's still got the power.
The power's there, 100%. But he's had a bunch of back issues. He had real bad sciatica.
Having the problems walking and
he's
stuff.
Walking with a cane.
Yeah.
So, but who knows what they've done? Stem cells. I'm sure he's with the right people. Like, even at 57, you can make a lot of money if Mike Tyson's fit and in shape, which is so crazy to say. It's just weird that we're even talking about it.
100%.
That the fucking guy from Disney is going to fight Mike Tyson, the YouTube kid.
Yeah, I know.
mean, and the path to beat Mike always was long dudes that had a good jab. Later in his career when he wasn't moving his head anymore. So I don't know if Jake can keep Mike off with his jab.
We're going to see.
Yeah, right.
But
If
Jake
it
will
happens.
grab him and wrangle. I mean, that's what he does good.
Well,
like
you
he
can
wrangles
imagine
guys.
Tyson's people are going to be in the back saying, "Don't let him, wrestle us."
He'll be wrenching those fucking arms the way he used to.
Bro,
He used to do some jujitsu in it.
That's right.
If Tyson can have
Did we just get a bonus bald
flashback
guy?
to the glory days, if there's just like a moment where he
We
just
got to land one.
sees a combination and empties it on him, that would be wild to watch.
Yeah.
For Jake to hurt him, he's got to be there to get hurt. I know, you
Yes.
know, he's not exactly Muhammad Ali in it. He's
Exactly.
fucking, so
And if Tyson can still move his head like he used to move his head. Now, the thing about lower backs, though, if you got a lower back problem, you got to
point.
kind of like save that movement. You can only do it so many times before it's painful. It all depends on the condition of his lower back. Because you got to.
That's a great point, actually, because I always forget I have a lower back. I always remember the middle back and even the upper back, and I'm like, what comes below that? The lower back. And that is the thing about the lower back. It is the lowest part of your back. But that's not really the point of this clip. It's just an important thing to note. And I'm glad Joe brought it up. The important thing that I wanted to note are a couple things. First of all, there's the overarching point, let's say, about this entire phenomenon that is the Pauls, the Paul twins. I was going to say cerebral palsy, but that's not a good joke. I'm not going to edit it out, though. It's Friday, so we'll keep it. We'll let it ride. Anyway, they are doing something pretty, I don't want to say unprecedented, because this may very well be what the original form of prize fighting was. A lot of people find the Paul twins annoying or obnoxious or clout chasers or whatever. I actually have respect for them. I really do. There's a reason why so many people continue to want to watch them fight. Now, the question, I guess, within the fighting community, people like myself, professional fighters, we, mixed martial artists, black belts, masters of our trade in the art of physical combat, we argue that potentially what the Pauls are doing may be undermining real athletes, real fighters, quote unquote, real fighters, by bringing all the spotlight to these kind of exhibition fights. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, Logan Paul and Jake Paul, they're not twins, are they? They just are brothers that look exactly alike. Fraternal? No, that's not fraternal. I don't know what fraternal identical twins are. You can explain it to me as much as you want. You can leave it in the comments. I'm going to read it. I'm going to get it for 3 minutes, and I'm going to be right back here in this position. There's a couple things I will never learn in life, no matter how hard I try to learn. And those things are, what is the difference between a fraternal and identical twin, or which is which? What does it mean to be offsides in soccer? How the hell does that work? And how do you determine when it's a charging foul or a defensive foul in basketball? Because it almost seems like the defense is always the guilty party, even if he gets completely truck-sticked by the shooting guy. So those are things I'll never understand, and I'm kind of okay with that, because I understand basically everything else in the universe except for those three things, and that's a pretty solid percentage of the universe, I'd say. But as far as it pertains to the Pauls, they are actually very good fighters. People forget that. You wouldn't be able to do this, what they're doing, which is just like challenge these high-profile athletes that are not actually boxers to boxing matches. Now, Logan Paul, the older brother, has moved on to professional wrestling. So I don't think this is something he does anymore. But he may very well have been the first one to actually start doing this. And now Jake Paul is really the guy who's still doing it. He fought Conor McGregor. He fought Anderson Silva. He fought that guy Dylan Dennis, who's another YouTuber, so I don't think anybody cared about that. But when I say fought, I mean boxing. So Jake Paul is a boxer. But if you notice, he exclusively challenges non-boxers to boxing matches. And the genius, I guess, behind it is that when he challenges these people, he's challenging high-profile fighters, but they're not boxers. Anderson Silva is A, retired from the UFC, but B, he was a UFC fighter. He's a mixed martial artist. He's a striker, yes, but he was known for his kicks, his punches, his elbows. He's probably one of the best strikers, if not the best striker in UFC history. But he's not a boxer. And neither is Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, another UFC champion, very high-profile guy for much more than just fighting. But he's not a boxer. And I don't believe any of these fights have ended in knockout. I'm just going to ignore the Dylan Dennis one. That whole thing was kind of stupid. Jake Paul has not lost. And there is a genius behind, I'm in like 3 subcategories of 0.1a, lowercase a. I don't even know where I'm at right now. But there is a kind of understanding of people will love to hate you. And you can make a lot of money by being what they call in professional wrestling, the heel. The heel is the guy they love to hate. Classic heels of wrestling history, perhaps. Was Stone Cold Steve Austin a heel? No. I don't know. They were like guys that were like, I'm the best, man. Maybe The Rock, but like they were so good at being like the bad guy that they became the good guy. And that's kind of what we're watching with the Pauls. Now, again, there's a lot of debate about whether this is good for the actual sport of boxing. And I'll entertain both sides of that argument before we even get into this actual upcoming fight with Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, who is 57 years old, but one of the all-time greatest boxers of all time. So actually, this will be the first time he's fought like a actual boxer, I think, maybe, on a actual accomplished boxer. But of course, we're talking about a guy who's, 20-something years out of retirement. Regardless, the opponents of this methodology, of this path that the Pauls are taking, would say that people are spending all kinds of money to watch kind of exhibition fights. Like the winner of this fight is not advancing towards becoming a boxing champion. These are just like marketing fights. But these marketing fights, these exhibition fights, are gaining more public attention than pretty much any actual boxing championship. Besides maybe when like Tyson Fury fights Deontay Wilder or like one of those guys, like a heavyweight championship. But even that, I would say, gets less attention than maybe the average Jake Paul fight. I don't know. That would be an interesting thing. At least in America, I don't know. People definitely care about the Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury rivalry. That's a big thing. Obviously, then you talk about like Floyd Mayweather versus Pacquiao. That's a huge fight. But we're almost getting to the point where it has to be like these legendary level matchups in the world of actual real boxing to even compare to the average exhibition fight with Jake Paul. And so is that good for boxing? Again, the opponents would say no, because you're taking away public attention from the real fighters, the quote unquote real fighters. Now, the proponents, the proponents of this, and they seem to be less, but I would almost put myself in this camp. I may very well be a proponent of what they're doing. Because while, yes, they are taking attention away in the short term from the quote-unquote real boxers, in the long term, you are introducing an entire, swath of the population that otherwise would never watch a boxing match, other than the fact that they are interested in Jake Paul and Mike Tyson or whoever he's fighting. They know these guys. They know these names. They might not know the average boxer. They might not know Miguel Cotto, but they know Mike Tyson. I mean, who doesn't know who Mike Tyson is? And so now they are compelled to watch a boxing match. And God forbid they might actually enjoy the sport of boxing and then be interested in getting into real boxing. Watching it, doing it, who knows? So this could very well be a good thing for the sport of boxing. Look, my favorite sport is wrestling. And as a wrestler, you have to admit that it's not really geared towards it's not a spectator sport, really. And I always support new innovative ways to get people to watch it, because if you understand wrestling, it's an incredibly great sport to watch. But there's certain aspects of it that just make it difficult to market. The individual aspect of it makes it hard because people want to root for like a team. It's easier, the Baltimore Ravens. Think about if the NFL didn't have the city affiliation. like, or the city regional affiliation, like if it was just the Ravens, the Patriots, the Bengals, the 49ers, the Chiefs, not the Baltimore Ravens, the New England Patriots, the San Francisco. Think about if it was just a 32 random teams and you just got to like pick one to root for. You wouldn't really care as much, right? Like you wouldn't have this unified culture in a city where you're all Ravens fans, or you're all Patriots fans, or you're all Chiefs fans. The ability to kind of capture a market and unify them behind one brand, one team, is really what kind of propels certain sports to a higher level of success in terms of marketing and media. Individual sports do not have that. And so you have to find other ways to get people invested. And so maybe by having these exhibition fights, these kind of literal prize fights, that's the other thing. Many of us are accusing Jake Paul of kind of tainting the real spirit of fighting, when in reality, this may very well be the real spirit of fighting. Prize fighting. Before there were organized leagues and things like that, when in boxing you have like 6 different belts or whatever, and the unified heavyweight undisputed champion of blah, 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 blah. I don't even know what they mean half the time. There was just a guy that lived over here that said, I can beat this guy that lives over there. Oh, you think the biggest baddest ass guy from your town can beat the biggest baddest ass guy from our town? Let's settle it. Winner gets this, people pay to watch. That was like what fighting was really up until like this century. The 1900s, that is. I don't consider the 2000s a century yet. We're not even, a quarter of the way through yet. So the 1900s, the 20th century. I don't know how to do the centuries. I think you just add 1 to whatever the hundreds is. So the 1900s, the 20th century, and the late 20th century. Because even in the early 1900s, when guys still fought like this for some reason, why did they do that? What was up with that? But did we have different like physical mechanics back then? Like, did we punch like that? I don't understand that. Whatever. I'm glad we got away from it. Nobody fights like that now, which leads me to believe that was not a very effective way of fighting. I don't know who came up with that. But regardless, that was kind of how it worked. And so we're actually reverting back to the old school version of fighting, which was, you think you could beat me? Yeah, I think I could beat you. All right, let's do it. Boom. Fight. Fight. And in effect, that's actually clearly a more effective means of getting a broad audience interested. So I think that what the Pauls are doing is actually a net positive for boxing. Now, Jake Paul was a high school wrestler. His older brother, Logan Paul, who was in the WWE or something, ACW, I don't know, whatever. He's a professional wrestler. He's in like wrestling. Not wrestling. He's in professional wrestling. I got in a little bit of a debate with my, I want to say future cousin-in-law. My cousin is engaged to a guy named Will. He was a state champion wrestler for Maryland. He wrestled at Bel Air High School. He's the man. I love Will. And I was saying that, Logan Paul, he was a D1 wrestler. And Will was like, he wasn't a D1 wrestler. I was like, well, he wrestled at Ohio University, not Ohio State. That would be like, holy shit. Ohio University, though, which is also a Division I school. And he was like, yeah, but he didn't start. He didn't blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so this kind of sparked like a good debate, because I was like, that doesn't make you not a Division I wrestler. Like, you wrestled on a Division I team. And he's like, yeah, but you're a walk-on. You didn't even wrestle any matches, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, well, let's look at it this way. If I played defensive tackle at Alabama, but I was like a second or third stringer, I didn't play a single down the entire season, but I'm practicing with the team, I'm on the roster, I'm there if somebody gets injured. That is like a spot in the roster. Like, not everybody who plays football is a starter, obviously. You need second stringers. You need third stringers. They're all just as much a part of the team as anyone else. That's a part of the roster. It's not like having a second string defensive tackle is optional and teams are like, we'll just have 22 guys, offense, defense, whatever. No, that's all the team. The team is like 40, 50 guys. Then you have the practice squads, you have the other blah, 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 blah. But like, to say that someone doesn't start, that therefore they cannot claim Division I status, dude, if you're on the roster at Alabama, I don't care if you don't play a single down. You are a Division I football player. Right? Am I tripping here? I feel like that's a pretty fair statement. And he kind of agreed with that. I think he was trying to make a different point, like, let's not overhype how good he was at wrestling. And coming from a guy who actually was a state champion wrestler, I get that. Coming from myself, who was not nearly as accomplished in high school, I was a state qualifying wrestler. I was more liberal with my status throwing around. Because even I, just in shorthand, would refer to myself as an all-state wrestler sometimes at parties. Oh, I was an all-state wrestler. Oh, you were the best wrestler in the state? Oh, is that what that means? No, I went to states. All of them. I was one of all the people that went to states. All state, right? And as long as nobody asks questions, it's a shorter title. It's a cooler sounding title than state qualifier. No, I wasn't going around saying I was state champ. I wasn't going around saying I was the best. I would just, you're at a party. It's a Saturday night. You're 20 years old. Somebody, oh, what'd you do in high school? I wrestled. Oh, how'd you do? I was like all state. To be fair, I didn't even know what all state meant. I know that their insurance is expensive. Anyway. But yeah, Logan Paul wrestled at Ohio University. I don't know how many matches he wrestled. I don't know how many seasons he was on the team. But if you are on the team, because it's not like you just walk on and they just let you on. It's not like Towson High School where you just, hey, as long as you want to be on the team, that's your problem. You're on the team. Like, good luck, buddy. No, like, you still get cut. So he made the team. Whether you're recruited or whether you walk on. If you're on the team, you're on the team. You're a Division I wrestler. And that's like a high level there. That's a high level. So these guys are not jokes. Like, I wouldn't want to fight either one of them. Unless I was getting paid millions of dollars and a year to train, and then we'll see what happens. Jake. But I need at least a year's notice in case he's wondering if I really want the smoke. And then we'll talk. But yeah, so you can't underestimate that these are actually good athletes that have taken a different path. They are paving their own way, which I respect. Not everyone has to get in with a Don King agency, Mayweather Money Productions, and do all this weird shit and go the regular route. That's like the equivalent of like going through American Idol to get a record deal or something. Like, they're doing their own thing. They are independent fighters. How could I not respect that? I do. Now, here's the point at hand. How does Mike Tyson stack up in this match? Mike Tyson, obviously one of the all-time greatest boxers of all time. So nice, you got to say it twice. But he is 57 years old. And one of the points they make in this video, this clip we watched like 20 minutes ago at this point, is where does age factor in? Now, my dad sometimes puts it as, when you get older, it's not that younger people are stronger than you necessarily. Obviously, when you get to a certain age, that is the case. An 80-year-old is not going to be putting up as much as a 30-year-old on bench unless you're dealing with an extreme anomaly on either side. An incredibly weak 30-year-old or an incredibly in-shape 80-year-old, maybe. But for the most part, your average 80-year-old is not squatting as much as your average 30-year-old. But when you're talking about the Middle Ages and things like that, the Dark Ages, 40, 50s, 60s, you can still be super strong. There are like 40-year-old, 50-year-old guys at the gym are putting up more weight than me. Now, could they run 3 miles as fast as me? I don't know. I'm not necessarily a great runner. But the point is that it doesn't necessarily make you stronger to be younger. My dad will say, you're stronger longer. So Mike Tyson may very well have a very similar level of punching power as he did at his prime. The difference is it's obviously going to be slightly less because not only is he 57 years old, but he's not actively training every day like he was in his prime. But also, can he maintain that power for however many rounds this fight's going to be? Now, Mike Tyson's used to fighting 12-round fights on paper. Most of his fights ended in a first-round knockout or early rounds. He wasn't really known for going the distance that often. That was kind of his whole claim to fame. But on the bright side, all these Jake Paul fights are like 3-4 rounds or something. 3 to 5 rounds, something like that. So it's not like Mike Tyson has to train for 12 rounds. He's training for a few rounds. So can a 57-year-old man compete with a 30-something-year-old man or late 20s, 28 something, whatever Jake Paul is, for a short period of time? And I got to be honest, I think possibly. Now, here's the thing. If Jake Paul was just a regular dude, the answer is obvious. Mike Tyson cleans his clock in a second. But Jake Paul is, again, a highly trained boxer and athlete. It's not like this guy's a scrub. Like, this guy trains at boxing. He might not be a contender if he were to enter into like the real professional ranks. But as far as like the average guy, he is definitely on the level of like some tier professional boxer for sure. He's more than an amateur, I would even say. So we're talking about Mike Tyson, a 57-year-old former champion, all-time great boxer, versus Jake Paul, a late 20s, early 30s, somewhere around that ballpark, good professional boxer currently in his athletic prime. And this may very well be the most evenly stacked matchup we've seen so far. I'm not going to get into whether or not this stuff is scripted. I do find it... Well, actually, I forgot about the Logan Paul-Floyd Mayweather fight, but whatever. We got into that. As far as this, I do think there is something unfortunate slightly about these things because you're taking these guys with these legacies and, if they are to get like dropped in this exhibition fight, it does kind of leave a skid mark of sorts on their legacy, does it not? Like a little bit. Like Floyd Mayweather, if he were to lose that fight or get knocked out, he's undefeated, like 40-something-0, but he fought in an exhibition fight that didn't count and he was retired and whatever, but it's still something, It's still something. Anytime you get knocked out, it's something. Doesn't matter what the context was. So sometimes I just feel like whatever money they're offering is just not worth it. But apparently it is. So, I mean, Mike Tyson has been knocked out. He's lost fights, whatever. He doesn't have all that to lose. And he just seems like a genuinely chill guy. Mike Tyson seems like a cool dude who's just down to fucking ride, So I'm actually excited for this fight. I might actually illegally stream it for free. I was already going to do that. You thought I was going to say I might actually pay to watch it? No. What am I, fucking you? So that's going to be a thing, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think it could be a good fight. And if it's a true fight and it's not like, hey, you don't knock me out, I don't knock you out, which I think would be I feel like that's got to be the thing, right? Like, let's take a step out of the spectator aspect of this, and let's put our businessman shoes on, our businessman hat as well. Let's put on the full businessman outfit. Really go for it. Mike Tyson and Jake Paul both have a lot to lose. But Jake Paul more than Mike Tyson. Jake Paul has far more to lose than Mike Tyson. Jake Paul... Well, let's start with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, if he loses, it might be slightly embarrassing. Like I said, it might be a slight skid mark on his legacy, but he still makes a ton of money. And it's still like, all right, dude, like, how much are we really going to care that a 57-year-old man, 25 years past his prime, got knocked out, or, beaten's one thing, but knocked out, whatever. It's whatever. Nobody really, the pressure is really on Jake Paul, kind of, right? Jake Paul has way more to lose. The minute Jake Paul loses a fight, this whole thing is over. Think about that. This whole thing that they're doing, where everyone is tuning in year after year, how often they do it, every 6 months maybe, there's a big fight that comes out. Every 6 months, the entire world tunes in because everyone wants to see him lose. Everyone wants to see who's going to be the guy that finally, knocks this guy's teeth out or whatever, gets him to shut up, whatever they want to see. The second that happens, the profitability of these type of things completely goes under. Once people watch Jake Paul lose for the first time and all of a sudden he just becomes another boxer who is fallible and you've got the satisfaction of getting him seen shut up. Once that happens, it is kind of over. He'll still do it, but it's not going to be nearly as much of a thing. That's just the reality of it. And he knows that. And you got to believe on some level that that's a part of this discussion. You got to believe that a part of these discussions are, look, man, if you want to beat me by decision, maybe, but even that, maybe not. But there's no way that there is not a mention of like, don't knock me out. Don't knock me out. And look, at the end of the day, it's an exhibition fight. I don't know if this is like sanctioned by any league or anything like that, but technically, if it's just an exhibition fight, a theatrical performance, it's just a show, essentially, like professional wrestling. Are there any necessary rules of legality as it pertains to kind of working that into the cake? Like, hey, don't knock me out. I got a career here. I won't knock you out. I won't taint your legacy. You don't knock me out. Don't fuck up my cash cow. That's got to be a thing. I'm sorry, that's got to be a thing. I find it hard to believe otherwise. And I don't even think it's a bad thing. Because like I just said, everyone acknowledges professional wrestling is fake, but it's not fake. Like, those guys are actually jacked. Those guys are actually doing flips. Those guys are actually hitting each other in the face. Those guys are actually doing shit that you could not dream of doing, but it's scripted. It's scripted. That's different than fake. But it's a show. And if Stone Cold Steve Austin cheats or whatever to win the match, or if they have an agreement where, I'm going to look like I'm pinning you, but then you're going to pin me, that's not illegal. It's part of the script. So are these Paul fights scripted? Probably a little bit. If not scripted, I'm not going to say scripted, but they are fights that are happening, but there are definitely some bumpers set up, like at the bowling alley. Like, here's what's not going to happen in the fight. Here's what's going to be the end result, basically. Neither one of us are getting knocked out. I think that's got to be a thing. I'm sure I'm not the only person saying that. But I am saying that. So, again, regardless, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's fun to watch either way. I think it's cool, and I think it's pretty interesting. And I'm not just saying this so Jake Paul doesn't beat my ass, because like I said, give me a year's notice, Jake, and then we'll talk. I'll take a look at the script. I'll agree to not knock you out. As long as you agree to not knock me out. Anyway, let's move on to some other things. Holy shit, that we are now at 45 minutes. So let's talk about this other majorly culturally relevant thing that's going on in the news, in your world today. So this chick, Shanin Blake, has been blowing up my personal feed. And yours. And everyone's, I assume, for the past week. So let me play a clip. This is where I first came across her. This is a clip from Twitter. She's like a musician / you'll see. So this is her. This is she.
I've been chilling in the mountains of Peru, drinking ayahuasca with the shaman stew. Cup of champagne to the shift the mood. I've been learning about myself, finding out my truth. I've been healing my soul, tried the best medicine. I've been learning shit from the aliens, like how we're all connected to the pyramids, and how we used to use them for time traveling. Now I'm astral projecting, remembering how to navigate the ether. Sound heals didgeridoo, singing bowls every lyric. Medicinal truth, sound transforms DNA. My mind's making things move. Whoa. Kidney infection, I healed that too. I've been doing things your brain can't compute. They'll say it's magic, but you could do it too. Just open up your heart and let it channel through.
So there you have that. So you can see why this kind of blew up. A crazy kind of caricature of like that festival chick, you know, with the big hair nest and the nose rings and the tattoos and the kind of like dressed like some kind of mythical, like dressed like nobody but everybody at the same time. I don't know how to describe this look. It's just like like I think the art of being a festival chick is you just wear something ridiculous but just make sure it's revealing. That's kind of the general theme. It's kind of like Halloween. There's certain things where the rules for chicks are just whatever you do, just make it like revealing, you know? Make it, if it's a festival, make it look like it's spiritual, but also revealing, you know? It's kind of like the equivalent when a girl says, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. But their outfit is like, I'm not a whore, I'm spiritual. That kind of thing. You get it. I'll play you another clip just to kind of lock this in for you, the kind of stuff she does here, and why she's getting so much haters. So this is another, I guess she just does a bunch of like TikTok-esque things, and like she's not a bad singer. She's definitely a decent singer for sure.
I'm well aware that I attract what I allow in. I am a vibration, people can tune in. I broadcast, I am love, I am abundance. I am an armor made the golden light, I trust it. My spirit guides, they help me land upon the best path. I'm learning how to navigate being an empath. Sometimes the red flags look green, I forget that I'm even. I remember I'm the farmer that's been planting all the seeds. I meditate for circle 999 and feel free. Ho'oponopono, please forgive cause I am sorry. Yes, I forgive and I let go because I love you. Yes, I forgive and I let go because I love me. I'm well aware that I attract what I allow.
So the elephant in the room here, because unlike other people on the internet, I'm not a capper. I'm not going to cap. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to front. Obviously a hot chick, right? Can we stop with that? The people that are like, oh, gross. All right, dude. Suit yourself. Obviously a hot chick. That's thing one, why people are talking about it. Thing two, we see plenty of hot chicks on the internet. I think that's like the number one hub of hot chicks. It's where hot chicks exist. The internet. Hot chicks and us is really what comprises all of the internet. So this is not particularly surprising. But this is the first time we've seen someone go this whole hog into this aesthetic and this type of messagery. Now, this messagery is better, arguably, than the messagery we currently have, which is, I can't even define it, if there is a messagery other than just be a complete piece of shit all the time, and that's dope. That seems to be what we're pitching to the public on a daily basis, courtesy of the music industry. But this thing is pissing off people more of this kind of like spiritual, like I astral project, I healed my kidneys through my mental mantra or whatever. I don't know. You know, I do acid, I do shrooms, I'm woke, I with aliens and stuff. And it's kind of like, I see why people hate it, because I, as a white person, or I guess I'm white for sure, you know? It's funny, when I talk about non-white people, I'm the white guy. But then when I'm like, I, as a white guy, people are like, dude, you're gonna speak for all white people? Yes, I speak for all white people. I am the Lorax. I speak for the whites. And this is the worst type of white person. The crunchy, hippie, festival white. There is no worse white person than that. There is a worst of every category. There is a worse type of black person. There is a worse type of Latino person. There is even a worse type of Nepalese person. I had the pleasure of meeting that over the weekend when I was renting a U-Haul. But this is the worst type of white person. And it burns us to our core to see it on a grand scale because it's so phony. That fake wokeness, that fake spiritually awakened shit, people can't stand it. You don't want to hang out with them. I would sooner hang out with the white trashest trailer park, West Virginia, cigarette smoking, ashing out on the couch person before I hung out, not with this chick, but with another chick who's like half as attractive but dresses the same. I feel like I'd get along better with the white trash person. As a white trash person myself, also smoking a cigarette and sometimes accidentally ashing on the couch. I am the second worst type of white person, but I will not concede the worst place spot because that is occupied by this type of white person. But is it bad? Is it bad that she's doing it? Why is she getting so much hate? Is the question on everyone's minds. And here's what I think. I think that we're used to phoniness in music. But we're used to it in a very specific way. We're used to a very specific character. And this character is not something we're used to. So when we see this phony character, or shall I say caricature of a person, an image, a brand that we've never seen before, we are immediately in tune with just how phony it is. Now, there's one aspect of we all know that this type of person, this type of chick, is usually the type of chick who like grew up super rich, daddy and mommy pay for everything. That's why they're able to go to these festivals all the time and not have a job and, you know, go and travel the world and, you know, do ayahuasca with some like yoga instructor in Peru and come back and be like, you know, you just have to understand the universe and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I would love to understand the universe if I didn't have work tomorrow. Do you understand that? Do you know how much I'd rather be doing ayahuasca in the mountains of Peru right now? But there's a cleanup on aisle 6. So we naturally have disdain for that because there's this like spiritual, like holier than thou-ness. Now remember, holier than thou is a religious thing, and they're not religious, they're spiritual. But there's a spiritualer than thou thing there. That all stems from this privilege, the ability to do that. My ex, when she was living at a certain place in Miami, her landlord had a house, a whole big property in Miami that was, you know, her father's, but she rented out, she collected the rent. She's out and surfing in Bali, and she's never home and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, she's screwing people over on rent, not giving people back their security deposits. But if you look at her Instagram story, it's all about being an empath and being like open to new experiences. Like, yeah, again, this is something you get to pretend to be because you haven't actually achieved it on any real level. Much like the whole drug culture as well. I've done acid, I've done shrooms lightly. I've smoked weed, whatever. I get why certain people get this idea that that they are elevated. And in a way it does elevate you, but not in any way you could achieve without it. It's a shortcut. Kind of like how alcohol is a shortcut to a good time. If you're a social guy who's already loose in social situations, you don't need to drink to have fun or to talk to the guy next to you if you don't know him. But a beer is like a shortcut. Oh shit, now I definitely am going to have fun and I'm definitely going to talk to this person that I don't know because I'm drunk. Well, doing acid or smoking weed, like you can have a crazy idea without being high. You can think deeper into the universe without being high. I don't like weed because my regular thoughts, I feel like my regular thoughts are already those type of high thoughts that kind of like chill, like, whoa, dude, what if this was that? And hold up, what if that was this? Like, I already do that. I'm doing that right now. I'm smoking a cigarette. So when I do smoke weed, I'm like, oh my God. What if this has been that the whole time and I never knew it? And oh my God, they know. I don't like it. I get paranoid. I think too much. That's why I like drinking. Because drinking makes me be like, dude, this is probably that, but who gives a fuck? So I'm the kind of guy I like drinking. Because I don't care if this is that or that is this. But some people can't get to those states of mind without it. So it's a shortcut. And then after taking that shortcut, they tell you that it's the only path to whatever revelations they've had, and that annoys people. Because I don't need to buy shrooms from my local high school dropout in a saran wrap baggie and eat it on a peanut butter sandwich in my parents' kitchen to understand the inner workings of the universe. And I certainly don't need to do that in a tent with 3 other dirty chicks and a dude after 5 days of having lights shined in my face over loud internet connection dial-up music. I'm not sure if that's the path to enlightenment that you think it is. And so all of this deeply, deeply annoys us. It grinds us to our core. Some of us maybe don't recognize that's why, but that is really why. But we only see it again because we're not used to seeing this character being portrayed in this way. We're used to seeing all the phony gangsters, all those rappers, don't make me catch a body. That's a character. A lot of these people are characters. And we've talked about that too. All these rappers that if you catch them in an interview, yeah, man, like we blah, 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 and then you catch them on a track, yeah, catch a body, drop a pill. That's not the guy I just talked to in the interview. You're portraying this whole different dude, but we're used to that dude. We're used to that character. And that character, of course, influences an entire generation of people where they all see this fake version of yourself and they associate your character with your success. So you are successful, yes, but you're not that. You just pretend to be that, but people don't know that. So they see that and go, oh, that must be this guy's successful being like that. And so then they go for that and then fuck up their fucking lives. That's a whole different conversation, but it's kind of the same conversation. We hate that character portrayal in anything. We just have become numb to it in certain things. So you're watching right now the same thing you've been seeing, but you're seeing it really for the first time. This is how ridiculous all of it is. Yes, she's phony. Guess what? So is your favorite rapper, probably. Probably. So in a way, we deserve this. We deserve this. Now, I could get into exactly how I know that she in particular is phony. But again, I'm not a big personal attack guy. On the off chance that anyone actually does ever listen to the show, I don't want it to be because I'm beefing with this person, beefing with that person, talking shit on this person to get notoriety. I don't want that. I'm talking about general themes here, okay? If you do your own due diligence and you look into her 2 years ago with no tattoos and doing, like a completely different vibe, she just, like, you could Google or YouTube or whatever, and there's a music video from literally like 2-3 years ago where she's just like, obviously she's still in like no clothes, but it's like lingerie and she's like doing a different type of thing. Again, good singer, she can play guitar, whatever, but she's clearly gathered like, okay, that character I was playing 2 years ago is not the way to the top. There's already enough hot singer chicks that dress up in nothing and do music videos about nothing. So I'm going to delve into this entirely new untapped territory of this hippie festival chick who like talks about aliens and astral projection and whatever. So she completely just morphed into this in the past 2 years. In the past 2 years, all these new tattoos, I think, new hairstyle, new piercings, new vibe, new outfits. That's what I've gathered. I could be wrong about that. But again, I'm not even making a judgment on that because that's what all your favorite musicians and artists do when they get to that level. That's really what goes on. If you're willing to be an empty slate, a clean slate, an empty glass, whatever, you just take on anything you think is going to get you the attention that you crave. And so there's something almost off-putting about that as well. We naturally hate phoniness. We naturally hate people pretending to be someone they're not. We hate posers. I hate posers. But we have gotten so used to consuming posers in every single aspect of life, from our music to our movies to our politics, that we don't even know what a poser is anymore. Well, now you get to see it. You're watching one. And now this is an opportunity for you. Oh, when I say you're watching one, I'm not a poser. Don't take this. Oh, he was a poser the whole time? I'm not a poser. But I'm showing you a poser. And I'm exposing all the posers. I am exposing the posers. So that you can then take this information into your own life and go, wait, is that really how ridiculous all of it is? And the answer is, as we've concluded several times on this show, yes. Yes. And now we're on the same page. And before I leave, folks, let's do our favorite segment of the show before we go into the weekend. And that is the Rook Look. I, Jimmy the Rook Selesky, will bestow upon you my final 4 picks for the weekend. March Madness coming up. And this weekend we have 2 matchups. We have UConn, University of Connecticut, versus Alabama. Whoo, doggy. Now who do you love? Tomorrow, Saturday at 8:50, 8:49 if you want to be Google, apparently, p.m. It's on neutral territory. And I am showing UConn -7. I don't know what your lines are showing, what they're going to show tomorrow. We're still a day out. I don't see any consequential, significant injuries on any of these matchups. So I'll just put that at the beginning. Injuries don't appear to be a factor for either of these matchups. So this is just raw stats that I'm looking at. UConn, I have projected to win the whole thing. They won it last year. I think they're going to repeat it. Two-peat it. Repeat it. Repeat means two-peat because you also have three-peat. So yeah, if you can find a line less than -7, if you can get -6, -5, -5.5, -6.5, I say take that. I think UConn's just a great team, dude. I really do. They just are so solid through and through. No glitz, no glam, no flashiness. They're just good. And Alabama's good, but I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're UConn good. So we'll see. But in the meantime, I advise you to lock UConn for that. Unless, of course, the line is higher than -7, in which case, you know what to do. Alabama +8, Alabama +9. We'll see. I'm going to leave that up to you. And the other matchup earlier, I love doing this in reverse chronological order. NC State, the 11 seed. The potentially 44th ranked team in this tournament. Facing off against Purdue, who I believe to be probably, they are a 1 seed, but probably the number 2 overall seed, because there are 4 1 seeds, remember. Purdue's probably the second highest ranked team in this tournament besides UConn. And they are a stacked team. They are very good. They are playing NC State, who has been killing it in this tournament. My line shows Purdue at about -8, -8.5. Now, again, who knows what the lines will be by the time you see this? Who knows what the lines will be by this time tomorrow? But if you can get Purdue, I'm going to say for -8 or less. So -8, -7.5, -7, anything lower than -8. I say lock Purdue. If you want to be a fucking nerd about it, only if you want to be a nerd. If you want to be a stats nerd like me, then lock Purdue. Okay? Well, that's what the numbers say. That's what Jimmy the Rook says. You're really going to listen to me? Why would you not root for NC State to not just win tomorrow, but win it all? How cool would it be to see an 11th seeded team go to the championship and potentially win? That would be way more fun. Am I here to bore you and dilute your life? Gray out your life with math and numbers and stats and projections? No, that's not why I'm here. Go to college if that's what you're interested in. When you come here, I'm going to tell you what I'd like to happen. And what I'd like to happen is that NC State wins tomorrow. And I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen, but wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't that be sweet? I think it would. So I'm going to leave that one up to you. Hey, if the line winds up being like NC State plus 8.5, NC State plus 9, NC State plus 9.5, lock it, because that's the best of both worlds. Not only does the math show that as a good bet, according to my math, which is debated at best, but you also get to root for the underdog. If it's showing Purdue -7, -6.5, -5, that math is probably in favor of Purdue there. So I'm going to leave it up to you if you want to go the math or you want to go the fan route, the fun route. But those are your lines. UConn -7, Purdue -8. I'm going to leave it up to you what you do with that information. And we will check back in on Monday for this show. But in the meantime, tune in this Sunday for LFTS podcast with myself and Eric Glazer. My brother Dom Selesky will be joining us, along with my cousin Nick DiCarlo of the Slippery Stallions podcast. Two up-and-coming comedians in the Baltimore area just getting their toes in the water, doing big things, baby. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the move this week, which is a whole thing in and of itself, and more. And we're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff too, because that's what we do on LFTS Podcast. That's what we've been doing for the past 8 years on LFTS Podcast. My name is Jimmy Selesky at LFTS Podcast across the board. Subscribe if you like what you're hearing. And if you don't like what you're hearing, unsubscribe. That's right, I said it. But please don't. Till next time, folks. Have a great weekend. Peace.